What is going on, YouTube? Today we are reacting Casually Explain the Global Military Superpowers, and this is the video you wouldn't believe by Casually Explain. He honestly has some banger videos and actually explains stuff usually pretty well and pretty casually. I do hope you do enjoy today's video. I do stream over at twitch.tv/TrueEarl and on this main YouTube channel as well. With that being said, let's get right into the video.
This video is sponsored by Sally.
Sally? I was gonna say Sally.
Well, we all know there's nothing we can do to improve our own lives, and it's best left to whoever's in the White House. It's also the case that the people at the top of our institutional hierarchies have more than just the clamoring citizens to answer to, as they have real issues on the global stage they have to make worse. Meaning, in order to actually understand the larger scale objectives of it.
Right off the rip, I was gonna say maybe not other issues like terrorists, maybe like other billionaire buddies.
Nation, we have to zoom out and view every country like we're playing Civilization, and we're in charge of large-scale decision-making for the country's resources and political interests, rather than viewing the world as a citizen from that country. A good example of this is that in economics and politics, everyone says that America is the most powerful country in history, as they have the best technology and the richest civilization of all time. Then immediately everyone in the comments says, well, I'm American and I'm not rich. And I'm sure that's correct, but observe how zoomed out I am on the map. I can't see you at all, meaning you are a trifling statistic to me. Similarly, what's clear both in real life and in
I would have said with the value of your money and you and you were to move like, I don't know, like Thailand or something, your dollar is worth so much more, like so much more.
Video games is that the most significant threat to your empire is other nations enacting military force towards you while you're just trying to get your supply chain together to make light bulbs. For this reason, I wanted to look at the most powerful nations on Earth in terms of military might, which means looking at all 7 nuclear powers in the world, starting with the weakest and moving up to the strongest.
Israel?
To preface, I'm not going to be mentioning any countries in Africa or South America. This is because they don't have any nukes, meaning they don't matter or exist, so we can just delete those. This is how they do it in the Pentagon, by the way.
What the fuck?
First, we have our honorable mentions, which are countries that have no nuclear weapons but are still extremely formidable.
Okay.
Iran currently does not possess any nuclear weapons.
Were they trying to make
recently was enriching uranium to
to
levels above 60% in a facility 90 meters under a mountain. This was a bit.
How did they even find out about this? Like, did they send radioactive signals and we're just monitoring them all the time and trying to find little tingles in the air or something? Like, how did they find out that they were cooking 60% uranium levels or something?
It's suspicious and of course alarming to America's Department of Defense, because as the name implies, what America is defending itself from is another country possessing an object that its current arsenal couldn't destroy. Thankfully, there's not yet such a thing.
So we popped the fuck out of
I wrote that description before they rebranded to the Department of War, which, let's be honest, if you thought America was ever defending itself from anything, the only technology they would need is an Iron Dome that shoots down Boeing 767s. Saudi Arabia. Unrelated, Saudi Arabia also has no nuclear weapons, but is still top 10 globally in terms of defense spending, and has a fairly strong diplomatic relationship with the United States and Bill Burr. To explain the political attitude of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, you have to know a famous quote from the ruler of Dubai, which was, "My grandfather rode a camel, my father rode a camel, I drive a Mercedes, my son drives a Land Rover, his son will drive a Land Rover, but his son will ride a camel." What? This statement might sound like he's humbly stating from shirt sleeve to shirt sleeve.
Is that supposed to be the tough times create strong men create tough time? So there's like a there's like a 3-man, I don't remember how it goes, but something like that.
In 3 generations, but he's really saying, yeah, I'm just built different, which pissed off his kids in the House of Saud, and now they all get chauffeured in solid gold Phantoms. Nevertheless, they've recognized they can't just print money from selling oil forever, and their current grand strategy is to transition their economy from a gas station to the hub center connecting Africa to Eurasia, and become the economic center of the Middle East.
They kind of are.
Hyping up their plans to build a 170-kilometer long city that is taller than the Empire State Building, and was getting me excited for someone to actually do something cool but really stupid.
That would be pretty cool.
They shockingly paused construction, and were then like, maybe we can turn it into an AI data center instead.
That was sure not a bad idea.
I'm sure if you said to the Crown Prince, here's my idea for a new super project, then slid him a photo of a gaming PC, he'd write you a blank check.
That's fucked up.
He can't be that dumb. Come on. As the weakest nuclear superpower is Israel. This is because Israel has no nuclear weapons, as it has committed to keeping the Middle East denuclearized. But they have stated that while they have no nuclear weapons, if they were to come under a mortal threat, they would be forced to use them. After turning the Gaza Strip into the
they don't have nuke weapons, but if they're forced to use it, they use it? Like, what? Huh? That doesn't make sense. What?
Gaza stripped of all previous civilization, their current geopolitical objectives are to deal with international social outrage over their use of brutal force over a weaker territory by using their enormous political and media influence to convince radicalized Americans that they don't have enormous political and media.
The two slops of the fucking internet. I hate how they always appear on my timeline on Twitter. Oh my god, I always end up with politics and these two motherfuckers. Oh, sorry. I guess 3 motherfuckers on my timeline on Twitter. It somehow always leaves gaming, heads to these guys, and then from this I get politics. I hate it.
Influence, which is going about as well as you could expect. Number 6, North Korea. North Korea is estimated to have about 50 nuclear warheads, although they're far more powerful and effective than any other nation's nuclear warheads because Kim Jong-un personally guides each of their targets, always knows where they'll land, and never makes a strategic mistake. Their current geopolitical objectives at home are to continue launching ballistic missile tests over South Korea in order to further refine their capacity for strategic inaccuracy. Meanwhile, abroad, the soldiers they sent to the Kursk region to help Russia wouldn't stop peacefully gooning to dancing girls after seeing the internet for the first time and have been sent home, likely undermining North Korea's credibility from the inside out with their tales from the free world. Number 5 and 4, Pakistan and India. While even bigger in population than China with 1.45 billion people, India doesn't yet have anywhere near the wealth nor industry. Pakistan is much smaller in terms of population with about 250 million people, and even with half the GDP per capita at $1,500 US, it's still more than enough to secure strong borders around India, as both countries have about 200 nuclear weapons. Pakistan has significant trade and alignment with China, which allows China to strengthen their access through continental Asia and into the Middle East, whereas India is more aligned with the West, securing maritime trade and allowing them to bring DoorDash anywhere in the world. Now we get to the top 3, which are considered the real major superpowers in the world and a major jump up in power level from everyone else. Russia. Russia is by far the weakest of the 3 global superpowers.
Wait, isn't it gonna be like Russia, China, and the US? That's all. Isn't it that just what it is?
Western analysts were surprised when Russia invaded Ukraine and it went so poorly for them. Its greatest strength is its enormous abundance of natural resources and sheer landmass, meaning they have access to the Arctic Ocean, the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, and land trading routes to China, Europe hypothetically, and the Baltics. While obviously a shadow of the Soviet Union, a lot of analysts are downgrading Russia's superpower status even further, as their military capacities seem much weaker than previously thought, and Western sanctions mean they're extremely reliant and arguably at the mercy of China as a primary trade partner. While Russia isn't overwhelming in terms of strategic military power, they are basically unconquerable because they have 6,000 nuclear weapons, which is more than America. And so it's kind of like fighting a Voltorb who might just get pissed you're winning and at any moment
love how casual you said that.
At the moment, their grand strategy is unclear, as a lot of Western politicians have assumed Putin dreams of re-expanding their land empire towards the former borders of the Soviet Union, which is plausible at best and definitely unachievable in practice. Meanwhile, Putin says that pretty much all of Russia's military actions are not for conquest, but preemptive self-defense from the expansion of NATO. For people who are not aware what NATO is, if you ask a Westerner, we would say it's the political and military alliance formed between the United States and Western Europe after World War II.
I would say that, yes.
Extended to more Eastern countries over time, as they wanted trade relationships with the West and security guarantees for themselves after the collapse of the Soviet Union and the formation of a still threatening modern Russia to their east. This is of course my Western bias speaking, because you ask Putin what NATO is, he would say, Mordor.
Mordor.
Rate, it seems unlikely any further land conquest is going to occur after Ukraine, because what was supposed to be a quick little pro-gamer move that everyone was going to ignore ended up looking like this on the live conflict map in January 2023.
Just battling it,
and this is what it looks like 3 years later. So you can make up your own mind what that means. Number 2, China. China's biggest strength is turning their country from what was essentially an agrarian peasant society getting conquered by the Japanese during one of their many angry phases in the 1930s into the largest industrial economy in the world and second largest GDP in quite literally 40 years.
It's kind of crazy.
They have a population of 1.4 billion and a GDP per capita of 13,000 US dollars, which is absolutely absurd given its size and where they started. A common sentiment you'll hear online is that China actually only has a population of 800 million, but then you ask for evidence and they're like, well, some Japanese scientists measured their annual salt consumption and it was lower than expected. Which is complete nonsense, because my grandma's Japanese, and if you said, yeah, Chinese salt consumption is about 2/3 of what we expected, what do you make of that? She would have said, a lot of sense, Jamie. Chinese don't know how to cook properly. Nevertheless, what makes China frightening is that because of their export economy, they have a massive industrial capacity. They have similar numbers of tanks and warships to the US, albeit smaller ones, and their air force and overall system technology are far worse. But in terms of shipbuilding, China has a gross tonnage capacity of over 230 times the US and produced over 1,000 commercial ships last year, and America made about 8.
8? Yeah, oh shit.
The number 8. And in
that's kind of crazy.
That isn't a problem, it's Chinese commercial shipyards that also make the destroyers. Currently, China's
what? What? The people that making commercial chips are also making the weapon ships? What the fuck? That's crazy.
Move is most likely the annexation, aka reunification with Taiwan, because to be frank, it's literally right there. And when China was like, hey, can we buy the really good computer chips from you? America was like, well,
No.
obviously not. That wouldn't benefit us at all. But like, imagine if Vancouver Island was its own country and had the best oil reserves in the world, and America was like, hey, can I buy some? And Vancouver Island was like, no, we use Chinese wellheads, so we only sell them the good stuff, but you can have the shitty oil we sell to everyone else. If that happened, I can assure you that I would be getting bombarded with freedom and democracy against my will well within 24 hours.
So
while
fast.
I'm rooting for Taiwan, if you add on the fact that there are American military bases in Japan and South Korea, and they have access to bases in the Philippines, China's only way of securing clear access to the Pacific Ocean is Taiwan. Meaning, it's not looking so great for the little guy right now. Number one, the
Why are you about
West
to get clapped?
and partners.
The Western
You already knew we
partners?
were number one because I don't want to become the 51st state. The Western alliance of NATO and its homies post-World War II is essentially what everyone watching this video will have grown up and experienced and is likely currently living within. Our greatest strength is by far our enormous wealth and prosperity gained from free trade and cooperation. This came about
With wealth, prosperity, laying in bed and ordering DoorDash. You know what? He ain't wrong. I love that shit.
because post-World War II, once everyone basically agreed to get along with each other instead of making world wars an every 2-decade tradition, this allowed the proliferation of the American global banking
Morgan,
system
Chase.
called the Eurodollar, which was kind of like a banking telecom network throughout the world, allowing the proliferation and trade of the US dollar in Europe, Japan, and then basically everywhere else. Because of the West's perception as a liberal, rules-based democracy centered around free and fair trade, everyone trusted the currency and began using it, then saving it years later as a reserve, resulting in what people call the US dollar reserve currency system. Even today, 58% of all global reserves are in dollars, 50% of all trade is done in US dollars, and 90% of all foreign exchange is in dollars as well, which allows immense privilege in terms of global influence. You can sort of think of it like how the global language of business is English. Europeans speak to Europeans in English, except Italians. Educated Chinese students learn English, and if you want to have a successful international career, you essentially must learn English. That means for people born into it, you don't have to do any work, and you get all the rewards.
No extra work.
If your hopes and dreams are to be successful in music, film, tech, finance, business, or professional political streaming, you have access to the largest markets right away. When you're thinking of your dream career, the first step for nearly all Westerners is thinking, but what if I fail and people make fun of me? But for everyone else, the first thing they have to do is learn a completely different language to fluency and then move to a different country. This is essentially the same privilege as the US dollar in that it has a global monopoly on banking and trade, meaning the currency that you create is the currency everyone uses, not just your citizens. So you can pull the levers in not just national, but global monetary and fiscal policy in your favor if you hypothetically had any idea what those levers did.
I have no idea.
Currently, the geopolitical grand strategy of the West is in complete disarray, because prior to Trump 2.0, both the Democrat and Republican plan was essentially to maintain the pre-existing Western rules-based order in conjunction with its allies in Europe and Asia, with only pocketed military intervention as fires needed putting out, or some perhaps slightly imaginary threats emerged. Even now, it's still not clear what the new
is that a hint that the towers going boom?
hard right grand vision is, or if there even is one. But if
what's up with them going for those two places?
That seem to be whispering in Trump's ear, and you really interpret it generously, it would seem the basic premise is we have to stop languishing and twiddling our thumbs as China becomes a threat to our position as global superpower. We need domestic industrial capacity to come back because we have no way to build our critical industry technology and volume if they decouple their economy from us. America shouldn't use our resources to be the protectorate militarily of Europe. They have the resources now to do it themselves. And America will establish political security over Central America, locking down a soft border for the entire northern continent, while using bases on Greenland to secure the Arctic shipping lanes, which are now open nearly year-round since polar ice has retreated in the last 50 years.
Oh shit.
Not because of climate change though, that doesn't exist. On paper, it's not like there's anything that unusual about the plan. It just represents a particular form of extremely hawkish foreign policy. The problem really is the not on paper part, which is using forceful executive powers to manipulate your allies while demolishing any pre-existing trust and goodwill. Then circumventing all democratic political channels to achieve it as fast as humanly possible, causing massive social upheaval in your own country and the world, and all of this is while defying the entire fundamental basis of the Western Alliance in the first place, which is ironically destroying the social cohesion and resulting trade and finance empire that made America great post-World War II. From everything I've looked at, pretty much everyone
what
seems
is
to
that?
either think that America is trying to intentionally disconnect and isolate itself from Europe and its allies in an act of ultra-nationalist self-suicide combined with an economic
Oh my
cold war
God.
with China, or that they're finally using strong-arm
Based.
tactics to concentrate executive power and accelerate decision-making, allowing them to bring back real military strength, security, national
you can't even see
identity,
that.
and
There's a lot of
industrial
people.
power to a stagnating Western empire.
Where's Nicki Minaj there?
Frankly, I don't think anyone has any idea because everyone I read
Nobody
on the
knows what's going
topic
on.
just keeps getting every prediction wrong. And if I were playing your boy Donald in a grand strategy game, I'd be very confused, and all I do is keep a very wide berth to protect my light bulbs. But the good news is that at the very least, if you can get past the lying, the corruption, and rape island, the characters this season have been the best.
The what island? Are we talking about the you know who? The OG Diddy?
At the very least, if you can get past the lying, the corruption, and rape island, the
Yep,
characters
he's
this
talking about
season have
that.
been
Yep,
the best
mhm,
written
mhm.
I've ever seen. Unlike politics of back in my day, which was mostly about either having elite-level charisma or just being born into the ruling class, winning
yeah.
on being
Oh my
relatable
God.
or hot, and then having absolutely no idea what you're doing. Some people are like,
Trudeau right there.
yeah, but
That's
Jamie,
my
this
boy.
isn't Game of Thrones. This is the real world. It could end with you dying in a nuclear war.
Press
Which
X for
always makes me
doubt.
think, nah, I'm down. Now, unlike NATO, what shouldn't be collapsing is your access to an allied network of telecom towers giving you affordable access to cell phone coverage
Wait,
wherever
it's
you
back to the
travel
ad?
to. With today's sponsor, Saley, you can ensure just that. Saley allows
All
you
right.
to download an eSIM onto your phone, so you don't need to buy a new physical one when you travel. And instead, you can simply purchase a data package from them wherever you go, so you don't have to pay the ridiculous roaming fees. Whether you're traveling to Greenland to plant an American flag, Venezuela for a cheap holiday, or Taiwan so you can free solo a skyscraper before there's a Chinese naval blockade, Saley's got you covered. They might not actually have you covered in the case of those particular places in those particular times, but you know what I mean.
Mostly
Whether you're
everywhere
looking to get
else.
coverage for one country or a whole region, Saley has packages available for all of them. Plus, you can get their new Ultra
$8
subscription
globally?
starting from
Crazy.
$30 a month to get access to over 100 destinations, a global network of airport lounges, fast-track service for check-in and security, and other bonuses. If you'd like to get an exclusive 15% discount on Saley data plans, use the code CASUALLY at checkout. You can download the Saley app at the link below or by scanning the QR code with your phone.
Banger. Okay, yeah. Holy shit, dude, I'm not gonna lie. This video must have taken so much effort to understand the whole entire global political spectrum of the world, because holy shit, he kind of went in the later half of the video, he was going off, and I was just in awe. I'm like, holy fuck, he's really breaking this shit down, and I'm understanding where this is going. Holy crap, this is great. But I do hope you did enjoy today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you guys would like me to react to next, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya.